Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. I was interacting with a seeker recently, and as she was speaking to me, she started to cry. That's what happens when people speak to me. She started to cry, and she was sharing that she doesn't know what she would do with her life. She doesn't know who she would be without the guidance that she's receiving from Sri Krishna in Meaningful Mornings. And as she shared this with me, I'm an ignorant person. I take for granted my own opportunities. It helped me to reflect on Sri Krishna's grace is expressed as guidance. The Bhagavad Gita is his grace and expressed as guidance. And if we feel that, then we will live in a more glorious way. Grace, guidance, glory, more efficiently, more effectively, in a more enlightened way. We are consciousness. And that itself is a wrong teaching because there is only consciousness. Notions like we and our, that's from our own perspective. Now, for most of us, what do you mean we are consciousness? How this can be felt, how this can be experienced, if you can visualize that consciousness is here, as if a step below consciousness is to live in a visionary way. So if you live in a visionary way, you will start to know and feel your consciousness. Below that is to live in an intentional way. Below that, to live in a mindful way. Now note, Sri Krishna is not teaching this. This is not in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm personally sharing this to help us tune into Sri Krishna's teachings and Sri Krishna. Now, for some, these are loaded words too: mindful, intentional, visionary. So I'll try to make these more specific. Living mindfully means you are more attentive. You offer more attention. Living in an intentional way means there's more alignment between the intellect and mind, your words and your actions. Living in a visionary way, and this is what I really want us to do, is to be more aspiring. That the purpose of your life is freedom, that you are not a human. You see the difference between alignment and aspiring? With alignment, I still feel I'm a human. I have an intellect and mind and so on. But to live in an aspiring way, I am beyond being a human. This teaching that we are consciousness has been very clear at the beginning of chapter 10. Sri Krishna is taking us from the outer world, where there are devas and rishis, to our inner world. He shares in verse 4, I'm just taking up the second line. Sukha dukkha bhavo bhavaha bhayam cha bhayameva cha. Sukha, pleasure. This is intensified as bhava, being born. And this is felt as abhaya, which is fearlessness. Fine, but I feel the opposite is more impactful for us. Dukkha, which means pain. Extreme pain is abhavaha, dying, leading to death. And what comes with that? Bhaya, fear. Now, Shri Krishna is trying to share the pain, the change, the fear. All of this is just thoughts. And thoughts have the foundation of consciousness. If one can tune into consciousness, then no pain, no change, and most importantly, no fear. As long as we are separate from consciousness, which is not possible, but we feel this, there will be fear of the unknown. And more fear, and more fear. Shri Krishna is zooming into our inner world more in verse 5. Ahimsa samata tushtihi tapodanam yasho yashaha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva pritagvidaha. Our inner world. We have thoughts of ahimsa. Everyone in seeking culture, parenting culture, please share in the chat what ahimsa means. Non-harming, non-harming. Yes. Sensitivity. Thank you, as is being shared. Ahimsa, practically, so you're giving me technical definitions, practically is sensitivity. And how does one nurture sensitivity? Next month, I am speaking to the city staff for the city of Ottawa. In December, I'm speaking to the Niagara Regional Police Services. In both of these cases, I'm trying to train them in cultural sensitivity, specifically in relation to Hinduism. And one of my main points that I will share, and I'm sharing this with you, Swadhyaya pravachana na pramaditavyam, which means Swadhyaya, knowing oneself. I'm just going to focus on that. Knowing oneself, one should not be negligent about this. One should not bypass this. When you practice knowing yourself, you become sensitive. The more sensitive you are to you, the more sensitive you are to others. You know them also. Zooming into ahimsa more, because it leads to the connection to the next two words. The most important quality in relation to oneself is to be reflective. When people ask me, how do you practice self-love? It is to be reflective. When I interact with seekers and I see a seeker who's reflective and one who's not, I know who's the more advanced seeker. If you're engaged in swadhyaya, which nurtures sensitivity, then samatha comes with that. That's in relation to others. You become more adaptive. The more reflective you are, the more adaptive you are. And all of you have heard me teach the most important quality to look for in another is if they're adaptive. So for Vivek, I should be reflective. As I'm looking for a spouse, adaptive. As I'm looking for someone to build a team, adaptive. Reflective, adaptive. If one is practicing this, tushti, one becomes acceptive. Those who accept are cheerful, correct? Those who expect are not cheerful. See, you should give me 15 minutes per quarter, not per verse. Ahimsa, samatha, tushti. One more thought on tushti. We have a mentorship sangha. By show of hands, how many of you are part of the mentorship sangha? Lots of you. What I've observed, we have almost 150 seekers in this program. We have great mentors. Many of them have their hands up. They are more experienced and they try to guide mentees who have less experience. Quite often the mentees, those who are younger, do not realize the value of their mentors. And sometimes this makes the mentors feel dejected, like they're not good enough or they're doing something wrong. And I keep trying to share with them, this program is not just for the mentees, it's for you too. To not be dejected, but rather to be determined. See how being acceptive plays out. You accept, this is how life is. Tapa. Tapa means to burn down comfort zones. This is in reference to the teaching to the city and the police. Pravachana. Pravachana, when you think of this technically, means to speak, like Vivek is doing right now. But for us, it means to share. Whatever you're benefiting by, that tapa means to share this. It is easy not to share, but for one to share this in a immaterial way, and then dana, share this in a material way too. I'm reading a message that a seeker who's joining us right now had written. I'm eternally grateful to the Vivekji, not sure why the is there, and to the Chinmaya Mission Niagara team for giving me this opportunity to be a seeker. This is part of my first stipend. Please accept this Guru Dakshina. And what's moving to me is that the first receiving that the seeker got, she is practicing tapa and dana. See the sharing in an immaterial way, in a material way. Awesome. When one is living like this, there will be yasha. Yasha means compliments, and there will be ayasha, which means criticism. But if you're living like this, yesterday I had shared with all of you, when one is practicing oneness, then one becomes unoffendable. I can never offend myself. If one is practicing all of this, ayasha, one becomes unoffendable. What about yasha, which means compliments? One becomes unappreciable. That means so much appreciation can come in from far away, from close by, but you're unappreciable, which means you're not moved by that. You don't need that. Awesome, yes? I just have to pause there. This is enough for this morning. The second quarter, I will elaborate on tomorrow when we join. From inspiration to application. Your application yesterday and forever is whenever you are with greatness, show me what you're going to do. You offer that I will revolve around this greatness. There's a family from Kenya she's joining right now too, in Niagara. And so we all went out for coffee yesterday. And when I walked into the coffee shop, she started chanting. Natatra Suryo Bhati, and loudly. I was looking around and I was embarrassed. But I was also proud of how this family is practicing these traditions, these teachings. So do this forever. Your application for this morning, 1 week from today, we will complete 800 days of meaningful mornings. I met a seeker in Washington, D.C. recently who told me, I thought you stopped meaningful mornings in the summer of 2020. She had thought that I started in March and stopped in May. She's missed out on 700 days of meaningful mornings. 1 week from now, we will complete 80 weeks just on Bhagavad Gita. What I want you to do is, I want you to visualize your me, and I want you to organize a party. Organize a party for this community to celebrate 800 days, 80 weeks, okay? How would you do this? That is your application. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.